bem-vindos ao Seminário Internacional sobre o Sistema de Educação da Finlândia, promovido pelo Colégio Rio Branco em parceria com a Embaixada da Finlândia.
Okay. Bom dia a todos. Sou Kitte, and I'm really happy to be here in Brazil. It is my first time, and it is a very short visit, unfortunately, only 4 days, but I surely wish I could come back and learn more about your country and culture and education. So we are having a joint presentation about highly competent professionals, and we mean about competent professionals, the teachers, and then the students as a result. And first, we will share with you a short video. It is a case, Finnish case, of learning actually in our campus, but it is not the marketing video about how great we are, no. It is a kind of a short documentary about a Spanish teacher, José Sierra, who goes from Basque Country to our conference, and he makes some interviews on teachers and students and some participants of the conference about Finnish education. And the name of the video is Encounters, because learning is about encounters, meeting people, cooperating, working together in groups of students, working together with companies. It is about sharing knowledge. It is about shared intelligence. It is also about flow. Usually we speak about flow when we talk about creativity, but you can also have flow when learning. So, and at the end, I want to say what Professor Kirsti Lonka says in the video, that the best way to predict the future is to create it. So I hope you enjoy it. Thank you.
Creo que en Porvoo Campus tengo cosas interesantes de las que aprender. Creo que la manera en la que se desarrollan las sesiones de trabajo, las sesiones de aprendizaje, están de alguna manera condicionadas por los espacios y por los recursos que se ponen a disposición de los aprendices. Y creo que la gente que va a asistir a este encuentro tiene ganas de compartir y de co-crear ideas con las que yo también me pienso enriquecer.
Eddie?
I'm José
Nice
Sierra.
to meet you. So if you need some help, please turn to us and we will assist you in any question.
Thanks again and
You're
see you
welcome.
later.
And enjoy your day.
Yeah, you too.
Thank you very much.
I'm looking for some books about learning. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Durante estos días quiero entrevistarme con algunas personas que están aquí aprendiendo, tanto en su labor de profesores y profesoras como de estudiantes. Y quiero contrastar sus puntos de vista para ver cómo es su proceso de aprendizaje y qué es lo que influye los espacios, tanto físicos como emocionales, que se generan a su alrededor. Hello, Marika.
Hello, José.
I was just some minutes before in our interesting workshop. Can you tell me what happens? What was in this storm?
Well, hopefully it was challenging your conventions.
Yeah.
Helped you to see something you took for granted, maybe in another light. Learn something new about how to create, how to get ideas, ideation. And engage your whole potential, not just your sort of logical thinking, but also your both sides of your brain. Well, maybe one thing is to remove people from sort of the area where they normally work. I don't know.
Comfortable area, maybe.
Comfortable, yes. We are very good at logical thinking and writing and presenting things in a certain way. So when you have to move away from that area, you suddenly have to actually go back to where you were in kindergarten.
Teachers and students together create knowledge instead of somebody talking and spoon-feeding information to the others. Because for these digital natives, as we call them, it's terribly boring to sit down and listen to some old person who is talking.
Is not to give the answers to the students, but to sort of to help them to create the framework and find the solutions. We work in projects and we work together with companies in real life.
For me, the ways of learning here are very different to other schools I've been to before. Like, we do all the studies in groups, and I like that. I've been doing a lot of independent work because we've had our own company. We've been studying through the company with 2 other girls. We need to find a lot of information on our own.
The main feature of the space is to be flexible. So, for instance, that you can change it and you can move the furniture, you can reorganize it, you can remove the walls or put them back, and acoustics is very interesting. It's very important.
Well, you probably feel it yourself when you get into this room, which is our startup school lounge. You get quite laid back and relaxed. And you don't have a sort of a fixed model that you have to fit into, but you can be who you are. And I would say that the colors definitely inspire some kind of new thinking.
I like the fact that you can see the lights, so it's more, kind of gives you more energy.
I think at least in learning, nothing happens if there are no emotions in learning. When we are trying to create something new, when we are trying to develop something new, we should do it in multi-voiced way. So we should listen different kind of voices, different kind of ideas, and in its best, I think there will be flow.
What means flow in Porvoo campus?
Well, flow, yes. It means, like you said, ideas just start coming and flowing. And for me, one concrete moment of flow is when people or students or the learners start working with their hands. There's just the sound of hands moving and people laughing, and the ideas were just sort of naturally building on top of each other.
I think in order to create new kinds of learning environments, you must have kind of interdisciplinary approach. I'm a psychologist, and the sin of the psychologists is that they are very individualistic. They think about what happens inside your head. If 95% of Finnish children are using technology during their free time for entertainment, and then they come to school and only 35% are using it at school for learning. And there is very little research in the whole world about what really happens if you are extensively gaming or using social media, or if you're a true digital native. And also brain research is showing that your emotional parts like amygdala is related to the extension of your social network. So actually, both social and virtual connections also shape us. We want to have this collaborative knowledge creation that you use technology so that everybody in the same class or in the same lecture hall would focus on something that is of their joint interest.
We should listen how people feel, how people see. The whole concept, how to work here, how to learn here in campus is based on the idea of co-creation.
I have shown that students who are engaged, who experience challenge, and they feel competent, they get interested, and then they invest twice as much time for self-study than those students who are disengaged or not interested.
I'm José. I come from Bilbao, Basque Country in the north of Spain, and I suggest you to have some breathe, deeply breathe, Make some movements with your fingers with 40 minutes or so. You will be different. Completely different. Do you remember the song? Let's sing. Yeah.
Teachers should start doing collaborative knowledge creation, recreating their minds and recreating their educational practices and recreating their social environment. I have this saying that the best way to predict the future is to create it.
You have to step outside of your comfort zone and accept that, okay, I don't know the answers and nobody else does either, but together we are going to create them.
Un aprendizaje importante para mí ha sido la red. Cómo, más allá de los aparatos o de los elementos que uses, la inteligencia colectiva y la red que se teje entre las personas te aporta elementos que cambian tu manera de pensar y sobre todo la manera en la que estás construyendo esos aprendizajes. Me voy de aquí con la sensación de que tengo mucho más que aprender, pero cuento con mucha gente que me va a acompañar en ese camino. Me llevo conmigo de Finlandia el aprendizaje en nuevos espacios físicos y emocionales, me llevo conmigo las ganas de enseñar y aprender de otra manera y sobre todo de mantener la pasión y las ganas por transformar el ámbito educativo con nuevas maneras de hacer.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's really exciting to share the moments here in Brazil and tell something, if I say highlights from the Finnish system. And of course, to be honest, so there are still also workplaces and schools which are not looking so luxurious in Finland, but the key issue is how to prepare the students able to learn throughout their life in different contexts. Schools are extremely important. Teachers are important, and the buildings are beautiful, but indeed, most of the learning takes place later in work life, during their career. And we must equip the students with good capabilities for learning and making groups and setting targets for their learning. And this is the reason why we had quite early changed our education towards more competence-based curricula and thoughts and modes in all the levels, starting from basic education even into a certain extent. And we skipped over to control the contents. The decision is on the teacher and on the student about the contents of learning, and the processes are much more important to enhance the learning processes and to be able to control over one's own learning. So we are representing the professional teacher education units in universities of applied sciences, called also polytechnics. And we regarded your country so important, so we sent 3 representatives to be here. The gentleman from JAMK wasn't able to attend, unfortunately. So please, I can continue with the slides. So the first case example was alive, and I will be going through quite quickly the same thoughts, but transferred especially to the vocational and professional education, because we have shared values behind education, whether it is general, vocational, professional, or higher level education, whatever word you would like to use. So some key issues which have been repeated quite many times: consensus, equal and free access to education. This transfers to integrative education when you speak about special needs students. And it is true that half of our age cohort goes to the vocational and half to the general secondary level education. And this means that, of course, we need also special education in both areas, nowadays also in general high schools. And we treat students quite individually in many ways. So the key issue in teacher education is not in contents, once again, but it is much more in analyzing and understanding different ways of learning and how to support individual learning styles and needs. The system of education was presented already, and I do not say anything more, but only the thing that teachers in general education must really have the master's education, and in vocational and professional education as well. In most cases, they have the master's. In vocational schools, bachelor education is the necessity. And very often it is studied in the universities of applied sciences so that the teachers have good competencies in working life skills. They also must have at least 3 years of work experience. In general, they do have more, normally 10 years. Getting into the teacher education in vocational area is rather difficult. 1/3 gets in. Education and the success in it is not a miracle. It takes long effort. And later you can read, if you are interested, how we went through this development together with the general and vocational and higher education systems. We had some key issues, principles, and reached a consensus. At the 80s and 90s, the development of work-based learning started, and it became a success. This meant also evaluation of students in vocational and professional education. So they are not tested. Instead, the targets of learning are stated on the local level in individual style. And every student in vocational schools is going to a skills demonstration in work life. And there, she or he gets the remarks to the qualification, to the diploma. So it is not the teacher, indeed, who is really evaluating, but it is a team of a workplace tutor, teacher, and as well the student taking part as a self-evaluator. So the teacher must be able to understand the processes in the workplaces, to cooperate with them. And this is the reason why the teachers can keep them all the time like living together with the work life. And the students get much more motivated because, of course, evaluation is a key issue in motivation. This motivates also boys to learn because they know that they will be living in the real life in the workplaces, not tested by the school or the teacher. So many of the reforms, they were somehow organized together with the researchers, administrators, developers, and teachers in the local level. But of course, the targets were set nationally to be common. Work-based learning, skills demonstrations, adult education, many examples which were all going through so that all the teachers could participate in the development. And this meant that we nowadays are speaking all the time on dynamic learning outcomes or competence-based education, which means also local curriculum decisions in universities. There we do not have any national curriculum. We decide them on the local level. This diagram is a little bit complicated. I say only that it starts from the national level, where committees, representative committees, this word is not used in the Finnish language, but if I say steering groups are planning how the curricula should be, and then they are implemented in the personal study plans and also in evaluation targets set individually. Modes of learning are tailored as much as possible in the groups to meet the individual needs. So what are the benefits? Many of them have been already told, and if I only say that the key issues which we have been benefited from this kind of an approach is the constant trust and ethos, common ethos in the educational system still existing in spite of certain difficulties in the global economy, and I could say also competition. We compete in skills demonstrations only towards our own targets. Still, this brings that in world skills competitions, Finnish students perform quite well. Congratulations to the Brazils. You are going to host the World Skills Competitions 2015, and I will be present there because we take very much part into the skills development in Finland and host also the Skills Training Academy, so I will be there. And also in Leipzig, counting how many medals Brazilians will gain, because I know that you will gain many. I was in London, so I heard the noise. Teacher education programs in brief. 1 year study besides working if you want to be recruited in a permanent status. So every teacher must have a teacher education, pedagogical studies. And then quite many of them are interested in further education later. So they can pass, for example, special needs teacher education or study counselor program. And these two, they are also valid for the general education system. So teachers can move if they wish. And they understand the students' needs in a much more broader sense. And then I give the floor to my colleague from TAMK.
Better. You see, I changed the angle. You should now put your face this way. This is all about change in the world nowadays. So if you feel like stretching, stretch a little bit, or it has been taking along already. I'll give you an example of different way of learning. 14 years ago, in my university, 2 teachers came to me and said, I was working as a dean at the moment, they said, we are so bored with the normal lecturing and you know, students sitting there and seeing the neck of the fellow student. Let's do something else. Let's try to find a new model to teach and learn. And now the boys come into the picture. Professor Rossi said that boys need something concrete. They want to put the hands in the mud and feel the things. So we applied an entrepreneurial model. We always select from our business students 15 to 20 people. They apply to this program. we select 15 to 20 people who establish their own company and start to study. So they are not given too many lectures. They are not sitting in the classes. They are sitting in an old cotton factory. They have to furnish their own offices. They have to build a company, a team. This model is not about doing things always right. This model is also making mistakes and learning. This model also means that the teacher, the normal way of teaching, like he's here in the front and spoon feeding, like the Professor Lonka was saying in her speech, has to be changed. The teacher is moving to a coach role, more to the background, more to reflect and follow the students. They are, for example, they are making in the beginning, they are making a learning agreement with the coach. I want to learn this and this and these things. And next year they are checking, what did you learn? This is totally an individual process. So it's about authentic learning, case and action-based learning. And what do? They have to sell. This is a company. Company needs money. This is about entrepreneurship. So they have to start figuring out, what can I do? And like Professor Lonka said, they are digital natives. They know how to use everything, these digital things. By the way, we are digital immigrants, most of us. And they start figuring out, what can I do? Of course, in the beginning, they do web pages, they sell, they do sales campaigns, some, very easy things, and little by little, in the second year, in the third year, in the fourth year, they do more difficult things, and always reflecting with the teacher. And my last picture actually shows that how the week of a student looks like. Of course, Saturday is party, but there are team meetings, creative sessions, there are reflection sessions, there are totally different things than in the normal classroom teaching. This is very hard model to explain, and if you want to check the web pages, please do. Perhaps their video can give you a better picture what this is all about. But I think this is something that we have to apply more and more in the future. This is the way to make new professionals. Thank you.